Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm covering Scream, which I don't know if you know, but it's probably my favorite horror movie ever made, and more specifically, why I like the sequels. Because the sequels aren't that bad. There's certainly no Scream, but they are good. Very quickly, Scream, let's be real, Sidney Prescott, Gale Weathers, and Deputy Dewey are probably three of the best horror characters ever. At the very least, some of the best horror protagonists ever. Just the trio of them in every film is always the best part of the film, and that is because they are three of the best characters and they were all cast perfectly. Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, David Arquette, perfect casting. And if we're going to talk about perfect casting, let's be real, in the first one, Matthew Lillard as Stu is fantastic. Skeet Ulrich as Billy Loomis is fantastic. The casting in these movies was great. And that's one of the positives for me about Scream 2, because we're going to talk about Scream 2 first. Today we're talking about why I like the sequels, and we'll rank all the movies at the end. And I've harped on about Scream before on this channel, so I'm just going to get straight into Scream 2. I have to say, Liev Schreiber as Cotton Weary is perfect casting. He is a very welcome addition to the series. He's one of the best parts of Scream 2, and if anyone's wondering, I really like Scream 2. I definitely think it is just a copy and paste of Scream, but it's just in college and it's not as clever, which is, annoying. But considering Scream is my favorite horror movie of all time, probably, the fact that Scream 2 is essentially a copy of it, I'm certainly not going to dislike it, Joel is a very welcome new character in the franchise. He's only in this one. He is Gale Weathers' new cameraman. He's really funny. The actor himself is very funny, but he gets some really good dialogue. Obviously, I'm also forgetting about Randy, one of my favorite characters in horror movies as well. He's just not kind of a main protagonist like Gale, Dewey, and Sidney in the rest of the movies, for reasons I'll not delve into. We ain't spoiling anything just yet. The main issues with this movie are, first of all, the reveal at the end. Who Ghostface turns out to be is a bit of a letdown. I found it to be pretty lazy. Spoiler alert, some light spoilers here. But who Ghostface turns out to be, I don't appreciate in a whodunit where the person who done it is just removed from the movie for a bit so that we forget about them and then they rock up at the end. That's just lazy to me, I'll be honest. And Ghostface in this movie, that's exactly what happened. This character disappears and then we forget about them and then they're Ghostface. And it's not like, oh my god, I can't believe I forgot about it. It's like, oh yeah, you are in this movie. But listen, I did find the final act fun. I found the Ghostface versus Sidney stuff fun in this movie towards the end. But ultimately, yeah, it's just a less good Scream, but a less good Scream is still a movie I would happily rewatch. One of my favorite things with the Scream movies is that they are all rewatchable, they're all fun, they're all funny. This one's got a good opening scene. Again, it's not as good as the opening scene in the original, but it's got a good opening scene with Jada Pinkett Smith. But yeah, I gotta be honest, big bang of Scooby-Doo off the ending of this one. It just felt like a Scooby-Doo episode at the end. It was pretty, it was pretty by the books. Scream 3, for me, the most over-hated Scream, for sure, because people hate this movie. Not everyone does, obviously, it's a movie, it's subjective, but a lot of people hate this movie. I find it almost exactly as enjoyable as 2. I don't think that there was a huge drop-off between 2 and 3 like people say there was. I don't think it was huge. There was a slight drop-off. Obviously, the worst part of this movie is that stupid fucking voice-changing machine. That's dumb. That's just lazy writing, again, which is annoying because Scream was so well written, the original that is, and they're using these lazy writing techniques like, let's make the killer disappear from the movie and come back, and that way it's a surprise, or let's use a piece of technology that doesn't exist where we can imitate anyone's voices. It's a cheap crutch for the writers to lean on when they need to get character A and character B to be in a room together. It's poor. I think this one is a better whodunit because although the reasoning for this person's becoming of Ghostface is really annoying and I don't like it, the actual reveal is pretty good. There is some genuine candidates as to who Ghostface is in this movie, and there is a chance that you might have guessed wrong. These movies, I don't find them that hard to guess who the Ghostface is. I tend to get it right. I got it wrong in 4. I remember getting it wrong in 4. I didn't think it was who it was in 4, but I'm pretty sure I guessed it right in all the other ones. But this one was another one that was pretty tricky, actually. It was pretty hard to guess who Ghostface was in this one. I might not have guessed it right in this one. But yeah, Scream 3, I find it overhated. I think it is just as funny as Scream 2. I think it is just as fun as Scream 2. I think it's got some great stuff with the 3 main characters again, Gail, Dewey, and Sydney. They are always the best part of these sequels, let's be real. But ultimately there are some silly little things like Sydney's mom coming back in a flashback, and that kill where the house explodes that is just dumb. It's just not clever, which again is annoying because the first Scream I find to be really clever. But ultimately, as I said with the second one, Scream 3 is fun, it's rewatchable, it's enjoyable, it's pretty lighthearted. It's Scream 3. I do not hate this movie at all. I would happily rewatch it. It's not the best movie, it's got some dumb stuff, it's got some lazy writing, but it's fun. Scream 4, right, this one looks kind of weird. It looks like they smudged Vaseline on the camera, which I'm not a fan of. I don't like how a lot of horror movies or remakes look around this time. Off the top of my head, that Friday the 13th from 2009 looked awful as well, kind of similar to this. But this one's got some fun new characters, especially the character Kirby. I found her great. The reveal of Ghostface, who it was, I didn't guess right, which kudos, cause it certainly wasn't a lazily written movie. I think it was written pretty well. I didn't think it was as fun. I didn't think it was fun enough to be like a true Scream sequel. I know that's such a silly thing to say, a true Scream sequel. Like, who am I to say that? But I do think Scream sequels need to be a bit more fun than what this was. It is narratively tighter than 3. It is cleverer. Yes, Harry. It's got a opening which I personally liked. It is silly. That's just one thing you have to take with these Scream sequels is they're all sillier than the first one. And the first one's funny. The 2, 3, 4, they're pretty silly. I also liked the 2 detectives in this movie. And yeah, this movie had some good kills as well. For the Scream franchise, which is a franchise not known for great kills, other than, it's got some iconic ones, but like, other than those very obvious standout iconic kills, the rest of the kills tend to just be stabbings, which, it's not that fun. This one's got some pretty good ones, I won't lie. Ultimately, 4 is probably the best movie of the first 3 sequels. It's probably the best movie. I just don't find it lighthearted or fun enough. And yeah, of course, I've covered it already, but Scream 2022, Scream 5 came out this year, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really fun sequel. I thought it was the best sequel. Right, let's get the rankings out of the way. We got Scream 2022, Scream 2, Scream 4, and Scream 3. Yeah, that's my ranking. Pretty basic. That's why I didn't do a ranking video, cause it's pretty basic. The newest Scream, I really like Jenna Ortega's character. She is just great. She's one of my favorite actresses this year, for sure. I thought the way they handled the legacy characters was great, especially Dewey. I really thought Dewey had a good arc in this movie. I thought some of the teenagers were some of the best teenagers in Scream since the original, to be honest. I think they were all pretty good. That character Sam, the other lead protagonist, I thought she was very good as well. Can't wait to see her in the next one. It feels like the most true to Scream of all the sequels. It's better written, it's funnier. I do think they are somewhat repetitive with some of the jokes in this one. It's by no means a perfect movie. Spoiler alert, I wouldn't be expecting this to be in like my top 10 of the year or anything. But I definitely enjoyed it more than any of the other sequels. And also, let's be real, it was a pretty stacked year for cinema, so getting into the top 10 of the year is much harder than some other years this year. So yeah, Scream 2022 might have made it into my top 10 in another year. This was just a really good year for cinema. But ultimately, Scream 2022, it's fun. I would definitely recommend it. I think it is the best sequel. I think that it really has set the tone for future Scream movies going forward. We don't know if Neve Campbell, I don't think she is going to be. I'm pretty sure it was said that she's not going to be. But I touch wood. That's just not true. But apparently Neve Campbell as Sidney Prescott will not be returning. So yeah, that's a bit of a bummer. But listen, the cast for next year's Scream movie, I think it's coming out next year, looks fantastic. So I am so excited to see it. And ultimately, yeah, Scream is just one of those franchises where it peaked at the start, but it hasn't got a bad sequel. It does not have a bad sequel. I would rewatch any Scream movie. There isn't a bad Scream movie, and I'm pretty sure the next one might be my favorite since the original. We don't know, but I think it could be, just based off the cast alone. Thank you so much for watching, guys. This was a pretty quick, easy video, I'll be honest. Hopefully I hit 800 subscribers soon. If you have any ideas as to what to do for that, let me know. Yeah, thank you so much, and comment what you think of the Scream movies. Right, I will be seeing you next in my what I watched this month. So yeah, thank you very much. See ya.